So my name's Andrew and McMaster, and we're at Blackstaff Farm outside Kircubbin. I work here with my granddad, my dad and my brother. I would be the oldest, I'd be the fourth generation of us all. My granddad, he started milking with his dad when he was about 12. Their 6 cows got cleaned out by a disease, so then they bought another 12 and they milked in a 12 bar up on the top yard. So then they brought it down, they expanded and brought it down to where the parlour is now and put in, I think there could have been 6. I'm not sure if he puts 10 in straight away or not. He put that in and he just kept working at it, him and his dad. Well, my great granddad, I started expanding from there really. My dad came along then, he was working, he used to ted to the country behind Angus's, and the Angus would have mowed in the big M and stuff, and my dad would have tedded everywhere in the stair, 9105, and trailed tedder, crone. So that's where he would have got his wage. Granddad would have been at home, and then my dad ended up coming home then on the farm, and then they started changing the parlour. The parlour it's in now with the stainless steel cabinets, it's been in ever since I've been at home. Where the cows stand, the rump rail would be raised, for it's very low. It's below waist height. Most parlours these days are above waist height, so you're working up all the time. 10 doubled up isn't big enough to milk 200 cows, is the only thing too. There's old feeders in it, which you have to maintain a lot. We're still working with a loft. There's no meal bins. There's nothing really else you can do with what you have there. Like if you want to put a new system in, you have to build all together. Like we're in the middle of building. We'll go down the robot route in a couple of years' time. We started 2 years ago. We started building, and then he started the war. Materials went up. Diggers went longer than we thought. Then the milk price ended up dropping 50% basically from what it was in January and December, which it was never going to stay at 50p anyway, but it just dropped way down. So then through that out the window, and it sort of put all this to a stop until milk prices back up again, and we're starting to look up again. We're going to get started. Hopefully late 2025 the cows should be in, at least feeding in the sheds. It'd be nice, hopefully, fingers crossed. Milk 200 cows in 10 doubled up Dillaval parlour. We've had this parlour for as long as I can remember. We could do a bigger one. So we're thinking about going Dillaval for the robots. After seeing their new robot, I went to see a demonstrator up at Gilpin's yard in Lisburn, and it is far more advanced than what a lily would be. The way it cleans the tits and the data that it collects, the camera they use, and use lasers anymore, and how they're able to, robots able to connect a unit onto a cow's teat that was sitting pointing straight out. The apps and the software they have for the computers, they have their head screwed on when it comes to robots. Like, and again, they work with parlours too, so there's some of the parlour stuff that's on the robot that I would be familiar with anyway. If we put Lily in, they would be a completely different, like you would be starting from scratch. You'd be trying to find out what this is and that is and stuff. I'll be able to fix most stuff in the parlour. If the parts that I can fix it, if I'm bait, I will ring Moors now. From what I learned from Lily, from seeing what fellas milking, they've been milking, they tell you they milk 60, but from experiences, they can milk 50. If you're milking with good cows, big high yielding cows, you'll be down to 45, 48 cows, like, but that's for the robot to be comfortable. You probably can milk more on the Lily, but it will tell you that it's in the red zone and you'll have to cut back. Dillaval, if you're milking with big cows, you can still milk 60 at least. That's the minimum. I've seen stuff, the boys milking with 70, but then again, the robots are working hard. Like, we would like to work with 3 robots. You can't get labour these days, and then when you do get labour, they're demanding big money and they're not worth the money. And they say, you put a big parlour in, yeah, big parlour's a great job, you're going to get red up in no time, whatnot. You still need the labour there. There's boys with big parlours and they have 3 boys standing in it, plus yourself, 14 miltons a week. Well, to be fair, I wouldn't be standing in the parlour 14 miltons a week. Me, Ryan and my dad have it sort of, so we get it all spread out so we're not scunnered as such. It'll be more flexible, with time it'll be more flexible. You're not tied to 2 miltons, especially when we mow and ted and stuff. You not have to come home, milk and then go back out tedding. One man will be able to work the robots. Again, a fella that's around the road from us, he put new Dillaval robots in Well, the new version Dillawah Robot's in April, and he says he hasn't had to bring a cow up since towards it. So if that's what you're working with, that would be unreal. Like, we would rear all our calves, all our freezing calves, and we get rid of all the beef straws that would come through, such as Belgian Blues, and we've started to go with Aberdeen Anguses as well this year. We had a couple of cows down this year with milk fever. The Blues were far too big. My dad changed the straws this year from the normal straws we would get, so we've had a couple down with milk fever, but one cesarean so far. So we've been using Blues. It's been years since we haven't changed it. Blues, it's always been Blues, so we thought we'd give it a wee change, mix that wee bit, and again it'd be easier on the cows too. My dad would do all the AI, and he would AI everything with sex semen, and then he would use, we like the red cows as well, so we would use the red straws and then Blues, and then Blues would be in the bigger cows, and then I think there was a couple of Aberdeen Anguses as well he's going to do. He would do everything. We haven't run a bull. The last bull we had was a Semitol. We ran him with the cows and was wrecking cows for this, was producing absolute beast of calves. Had to do 2 or 3 cesareans. If you had a bull, there's a lot of wrecking to be done. The cows do enough wrecking when they're in heat, between slipping and hammering each other and hard quarters and stuff with blood clots and all. They do enough hammering each other, so like the bull would do a bit more damage, like, and when you're AI and you know what you're getting.
Hi, my name is Ryan McMaster, 23 years old. Kind of my role, I don't really have, it's not going to sound like much what I do in the farm, like, but it's more kind of the basics, the manual labour, scraping, redding up, working way up the calves, nothing really machinery type like. This here is really the main job, like, do my fair share of milkings during the week, not as many as Andrew, but he enjoys it more than I do. So I'm more of a stock man than machinery. Starting off when I was younger, I was always out scraping beds, doing really the easy jobs, like. And Andrew, if I was scraping beds, he was scraping the yard out with the tractor, or he's bedding the cubicles, or he's pushing silage forward. I was carrying buckets of meal, buckets of milk, giving my grand a hand, and that's kind of the way it's always been. Been maybe out here since I was 10, 11, doing my bits and bobs, and nothing's changed. It's just you get to do more and more experience, and you take more on board. The most amount of driving I really do now is basically what Andrew done whenever he was 10 or 11. Push the silage forward in the JCB, or bed the cubicles, scrape the yard up, bedding houses and stuff, like. And come springtime or summertime when we're doing out in the haylage, I would take the shovel to the field, follow Andrew in a wagon, and I jump out, he loads the wagon, I jump back in, and then we're back home again, like. But that's just the way it's always been. Being 23, it'd be hard to believe that I never drove a tractor on the road before. From the top yard to the bottom, that's the furthest I've ever drove. It's never been much of an interest in me. I never really drove around machinery or worked around machinery. That's the way me working with my granddad growing up, and Andrew working with my dad. My dad pushed Andrew on to do sort of the things that he was doing. There was never any need for me to go and learn. I know how to drive a tractor, but learn how to do field work, and that's really sort of something I've been. So obviously being more of a stock man than a machinery man, more of a calf man, to be honest. Day-to-day roles, just for my role would be to shift the calf. First thing, spread the calf's navel, shift the calf into clean bedding usually within 30 minutes of the cow calving, and give it 1 to 2 litres of cholesterol Bezium, plenty of antibodies in it to keep fighting away any infections. And from then we usually get me and my granda. My granda would usually take over with me and try and get the calves sucking, and then drinking, and then kind of going out on its own. My main concern in the morning would be obviously the calf welfare, or the calves in general, coming out, making sure, feeding the calves, obviously younger calves get their milk, starting off in their haylage and calf crunch, working up to these boys here. They're on their heifer nuts at the minute, and working away into their haylage. And obviously after a morning's feeding, you maybe leave it half an hour or so, and you go take a look around just to make sure that everything's 100%. You can hear a few calves coughing in the background. It's not really much of a concern. Pneumonia is kind of a bit of a thing around this time of the year, like, but we're trying to knock down on that once the calves are maybe 1 or 2 weeks old. We do my vaccine up the nose when they're 3 days old, and that kind of cuts out the pneumonia altogether, like. But the weather being 2 to 3 degrees last week, and then bouncing up to 13, bouncing back down, it has a big effect on them. Obviously keeping on top of pneumonia, time when they're out in the field, they get their black leg, their worm, and another pneumonia injection, and their dose for worms, and they come in usually in September time, ready for bulling. If you're calf welfare, if you're not in good shape, then you're not going to have any or much of a heifer when I come up the calving time. The main goal is to shift the calf within 30 minutes of it being calved, and that cuts out a lot of chances of picking up diseases and infections through his navel, such as crypto. Maybe it was 3 years ago now, we had a bit of an outbreak in crypto, and it was devastating, and there's not really much in getting on top of it. Once it starts, it's going to go like, and the only thing you can really do is try and prevent it, is keep throwing the electrolyte powders into them and just keeping an eye on them. That's really one of the main things. And the milk scar is a big thing, just giving a calf maybe a bit too much milk, and then it can lead them to get very sick very easy, and then the next thing they're picking up pneumonia. It all starts at a young age. They get stuff like that there coming on maybe a week to 3 or 4 weeks old, and it's going to have a big toll on them growing up. Our main goal for these calves here, well, every year we do 90 to 100 cows and heifers of Frisian sex semen. That's what these are at the minute. And our main goal for them is we usually raise about 80 to 100. Well, it depends what the calving goes like. You usually get a few bulls in there, like, but we usually try and raise about 80 to 100 Frisian heifers every year. Come maybe springtime when they're due to go out in the field, we usually have a big batch of 50 to 60 to go out in the field and spend as long as they can out there, mainly most of the summer leading into early September time, depending on the weather. And the main goal for them is to get their good size to coming in ready for serving, AIing, and they'll be all served again with Frisian sex semen. They pretty much repeat the cycle again, have their own Frisian heifer, basically, like, and get them in the parlour all at the minute. Hopefully get them into the parlour and get them milking, but in the future, hopefully come these batch here, will be a couple of years' time, we'll be ready for going on the robots. That's the plan anyway. I'm kind of at the point now where I know that I'm not going to be maybe looking in the 10, 15 years to come. There's not enough space for me maybe to raise, if I was going to have a family, to raise my kids on the farm. It would be Andrew's sort of thing. If you're looking into wages, like there's my dad's wage, my wage, and Andrew's wage coming out every week, and it's family wages, whatever it is like, but it all adds up. Kind of in the future, or really any time now, I'll be looking into finding a new career or job, but I still don't know what to be at, to be honest. Obviously working with family every day, it is a good thing and bad thing. Like, you get your challenges and everyone kind of does their own thing. In a way, I go away and work with my calves, and I stay with Andrew's road. He's out doing yard work and he stays out of my road, but there's days we get on and days we don't, pretty much. Probably more days we don't. Nobody's scared to really voice their opinion. That's the only thing being a family farm. Like, if there's something to say to you, it's said and that's it. And the next thing, there's an argument kicking off. Like, but now we usually get on all right. Working 7 days a week, maybe not working flat out every day, but I don't finish 6:30 or every night. Working with the calves, they have their routine you need to stick to. And say the likes of maybe down playing or watching football, my mates will be like, you coming in for a pint after? I'm like, no, I need to go home, feed the cows first and get the bedding done. I'm sure I'll be back down later on. And then next thing, they're all away. Looking at it, you can't really stop, no matter what. The sun's always going to come up tomorrow, like, no matter what. Anything goes on in life, you still have to get up and get on with it. That's farming, pretty much. Like, the cows aren't going to milk themselves. Cows aren't going to feed themselves. Even my mates say, Christmas time, you should not take Christmas off and let the cows be and then sort them out tomorrow. I go, that's not the way it works. My mates are boys who aren't from a farm background, don't really understand it, and there's not really any point explaining to them. Like,
so we've got case 140 maximum and the case Puma 165. We would do all our own mowing. Try our best to do all our own mowing. On the Angus would do a bit in the Big M, and the Janes would drive the tractor if we're getting it tight with the weather and stuff. And then I would do most of the tedding. Our neighbour would help with the tedding as well. The windows are small now, so you need that 200 plus acres shook out in no time. And then Angus's would lift our grass then, they would bring it in. Sometimes we've got ground here, there and everywhere. It's just a thing down here. Like, there's that many boys around us. You can't, you just have to rent ground when you can. So I would spread away myself, and then Angus's would send a tanker or two down for the further away stuff. There was one cut, I was adamant I was doing it myself. I was able to do it myself. I got a burst pipe, and there was one puncture, and then I came out to get the number off the tire, and the other wheel was flat. So it clearly had my scunner, like, so it does remind you that it is handy getting contractor in. But we would work with a 2,500 gallon slurry cat. She would be 9-year-old next June. Really, when we get robots in eventually, I would like to go bigger, 2,750, stepped axle and stuff, because with a bigger tanker, I feel like I'll have more time to spread slurry, I'll get more out in a short space of time then. Well, my time's definitely cheaper than a contractor, for I don't get paid extra for doing the hours, for us go back into the farm anyway. It's all right. Angels aren't hard to pay, like they're 100%. They look after us, like keep them right, keep us right. You know, so it's not a big thing, like, but it's just with the milk price being so low in my head, I was like any small wee bit of like savings would have helped anything. I don't think it'd be that much difference, like. When you saw me feeding this morning, working out of 3 silos, there's maize, 5th cut, and 1st cut going into the mix there at the minute. Ideally, we could do another silo down the line. That bigger silo is a fresh one. It's only been up a couple of years. I would like to put a wall down the middle of it and split it into 2. So we get an extra silo because we've got 2 cuts in the big silo and 2 cuts in the middle silo. You're always having to double up all the time, but nice to have everything had their own silo just to make it a bit handier instead of having to use silage to get the good stuff, etc. But this year was a real great grass year for us. Like there's that 5th cut's feeding really well. Like it's just as good as the 1st cut. It's been unreal for us. This year's the biggest cuts we've done. We've never done 5 cuts, and the way the weather worked at the start of the year, my dad put the fertiliser out and we were ready for the 24th of April, maybe sooner, 21st of April, we were mowing, or maybe even we were lifting. Since we started early, we just kept the grass young, tried our best not to let any cuts go on. There was ground there that, with the bad weather last year, there was ground that was saturated, so we had to cut the hills and then wait till it dry and cut the bogs. Got that all back together again, so it's all back as one again, thankfully. The 5th cut maybe isn't the difference, but it's the fact that last year the silage was absolutely woeful. The grass is real good shape this year. The cows are milking real well. Since the 5th cut was high protein, the 1st and 5th cut was together. The cows, it was just passing through them. So then the maize was in. We left the maize like a couple of weeks, opened it up, and it hardened them up a wee bit then. So they keep it into them. So then the maize put more milk on the cows too. The maize, powerful stuff. It'd be the same sort of meal. We use blend meal for the diet feeder as well, for the ration. But we're using less meal this year than what we did last year because the rain was wild. Realistically, Ryan won't be at home full time. If Ryan goes away, then it'll just be me. Grandma's not going to last forever, neither's my dad. And in my head, I can see myself standing in the yard by myself one day. That means I'll be able to work the whole place myself and not be killed doing it. And it's far easier to get fellas to drive tractors these days than it is to work with cows and to trust people with cows. Down the line, I can be in the farm all the time. If I need to hire anybody, hire tractor drivers, they can go TED and they can go mowing and whatnot. And I can be at home with the cows, which the cows are the ones that are bringing the income in all the time, so need to be right. My dream thing is to not expand, to get the number. It depends how many people's on the farm, get the number, bring it down to a nice comfortable number and just be consistent. Even though you might not be comfortable with farming, obviously with all the stuff that's going on, with inheritance tax and all that stuff, you can't mess about with ground around here. Like ideally you have to buy more ground if I was going to expand, and we're sitting between 2 rivers flowing between us as well. Like, so it'd be nice to have a nice number of cows, plenty of ground you could own that so you'd be comfortable with, and just keep tipping on, just don't expand at all. Well, since Granda's still here, so Granda's 76, so the inheritance tax came in a couple of weeks ago, and it makes you start thinking, and it starts asking questions and stuff. Well, what way is it best working before it comes in, or what are they going to do? And then you're worried about the years to come. You're talking about expanding stuff. Am I going to be standing here in 10, 15 years' time, being able to work with cows? Is the government going to shut us down even more, try and drain us out, blame us for this, that and the other? There's always going to be a way around things, like, but you think with the likes of me, the farm still has to go through down to my dad before it comes to me. It's just all up in the air. It would put the fear into you. Wouldn't be staying here at all if farming went bad, because very small place over here compared to anywhere, and it seems like Australia, America, New Zealand, they get the support that they need for farming. If you watch anybody on YouTube and stuff, they have fundraisers and the insurance stand by them. and they're working with millions, like beyond millions over there, like compared to what we're only farming in gardens. I would definitely flit over there somewhere. The thing with working at home on the farm is like it doesn't feel like a job. You can say the crazy stuff, it's a way of life and all that, caper, like, where you know yourself, like, it just feels, you just get up and get on with it every day, like, it just doesn't feel like you're working, it's just, it is your life, to be fair, like.